welcome to my channel or welcome back. My name is Sam and in this video we're gonna read some backlist picks. I'm excited. This is gonna be a mini series on my channel for this year. I'm gonna kind of go back and read some of my highly anticipated books because I have them. On Goodreads I have a lot of lists. I like to keep track of things, stay organized, keep them in nice little shelves. And so I have an entire shelf dedicated to anticipated releases for the year. Luckily, we're starting easy. We're starting small. We're starting with 2021 anticipated releases. 2021 is the year that I really got back into reading, and it's the smallest of possible TBRs. So out of my entire 9 books on on the shelf, I had already read, I want to say 4. I'll be reading 5 in this video, and that leaves 2 on my shelf by the end. So this one's a lot easier to start with, a lot easier to kind of get into the groove of, but as clearly stated, highly anticipated releases. These are some of my favorite authors, as well as authors that I just really wanted to try, have heard fantastic things about. The sequels are coming out, the series are getting closer to being finished, so I gotta get on these bandwagons. So in this video, I will be reading 5 of my highly anticipated releases back from 2021, and I could not be more excited. These include authors like Erin A. Craig, TJ Klune, and Darcy Little Badger, as well as 2 new to me authors that I'm excited to dive into. So without further ado, let's get to the first video. No, first book. Let's get to the first book. Hello, I finally have updates. Finally she's read the dang thing. It's so funny how this whole video is reading my most anticipated reads for 2021, and obviously it makes sense that TJ Klune was on the list and that it was an anticipated read. I love The House on the Cerulean Sea so much, but since starting this over 200 days ago and then finishing it yesterday, it's been a journey with TJ Klune. I've now at this point read his latest, In the Lives of Puppets, and didn't like it. Almost gave it a 2-star, went with a nice 3, and now here we are finally wrapping up Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. So this is a story all about grief. It is following our protagonist, I don't know. We're following Wallace, who is kind of a POS, kind of sucks, kind of not fun. Very by the book, corporate kind of boy, loves to be awful. I think he's a lawyer, and he dies. So the Reaper comes to collect him from his funeral and takes him to Hugo, who has this cool tea shop in the woods, and basically is there to help assist him to move on and get to the other side. And Wallace kind of has to have all these revelations of, wow, I sucked in life and I don't really want to be dead, and now I'm catching feelings for this Hugo Reaper guy. And so that's the entire plot of the book. Oof. So it starts strong. I really enjoyed the first 50 or so pages of the story when I picked this up and read it. I read this physically at first, and I got about 40% of the way through, just about, and I was enjoying it. I was liking learning about the world and the magic system and getting to know the characters and how they were interacting, because obviously there's going to be very strong character development in a story like this, and I really enjoyed that. But it just got to a point in the center where I just didn't care. It felt repetitive. It didn't feel like I was getting anything. It just was super slow. And I was like, I'm not really here to learn about Wallace and Wallace's ghosty powers and what he can and can't do. It just didn't intrigue me after that, and I was kind of over it. And so I picked it up on Hoopla, the audiobook, and listened to it, and I still felt the same about the middle. It just didn't grasp me. I stopped caring. I put it down for a very, very long time, and I finally finished it. I've wrapped it up. I've did the thing. I think it's landing on a 3.5 but I'll rate it a 4 because I like the premise, I like the characters, I like the ending. I enjoyed the story. It just was too long and too slow for what it was. But I definitely preferred this one over In the Lives of Puppets, but nothing has compared even remotely close to The House in Cerulean Sea. So it's interesting. I'm definitely not the biggest TJ Klune stan anymore. I can't say he's my favorite author at this point. But I'm excited to read Green Creek, which I think it's 3 or 4 books, which take place in Oregon, which I'm intrigued about. And I'm excited to see what those have in store because I've heard a lot of good things and they've been traditionally picked up for publishing. So I'm obsessed with the new covers. So I'm excited to see what they have in store. I'm going to continue following what TJ Klune comes out with, but I definitely think that the hype is died down for me with him. I think The House in Cerulean Sea was the best of the 3 so far, and I don't know where his writing is going to go from here. I don't know if he's going to continue down this same path and direction with his stories. I feel like In the Lives of Puppets was a little bit more out there than I was expecting, but Under the Whispering Door just had nice characters, had that found family feeling, had some of the things that I liked about The House in Cerulean Sea, and then just like a very different twist, but there was too much of a lull in the middle for me to fully love this book and give it my all. But I finally finished it. It took over 200 days. I think my call pile said 250 days. That's bad. That's not good. But yeah, I also soft DNF'd a lot of books at the end of last year. I was in a big reading slump and life slump, and so I wasn't reading. And so I think that's part of the reason why I'd put this down and had a really hard time picking it back up, is because I was in a bad place when I started it. And this is a book dealing with death and grief and finding love and all of these eventually hopeful things, but it doesn't start out that way. So it wasn't a great book for me to read at the time, which is a good thing that I soft DNF'd it and put it down for my mental health and was able to pick it back up now when I'm in a better place. So that also ties into like the judgment of this book, but overall I do recommend it. My ranking stays the same. I'm intrigued to see what Green Creek has in store, but I'm not going to be picking up anytime soon. I kind of want a TJ Klune break for the rest of the year, if I'm being totally honest. Ooh, that sounds rough. So I've started A Snake Falls to Earth. Now I started A Snake Falls to Earth a good month ago, early July. So not quite a month, but early July. I got 15%, the first 15% into it, and it's not grasped my attention whatsoever. I don't understand what's going on. I don't really care, and I'm not loving the audiobook narration, which I have the physical book, but I wasn't planning to read it because I loved Alatsaway. I loved the audiobook experience with Alatsaway. It is one of my favorite, young adult books. It's so good, and this one just isn't doing it for me, and I don't know if it's me and I'm just the problem because I don't have the attention span for it, or if I just don't care so much for it, which I think is probably the case because the other reviewers that I've seen read when Snake Falls to Earth haven't had great experiences with it either. They've given it, I think, 3 stars max, and so I know that it wasn't going to be a lots away, but I was hopeful because I loved Artsy Little Badger, and I just don't think I have the full context of what the story is supposed to be for me to really care. I truly couldn't tell you what this story is about right now, which is incredibly unhelpful. Nina is a Lippin girl in our world. She's always felt there was something more out there. She still believes in the old stories. Ollie is a cottonmouth kid from the land of the spirits and monsters. Like all cottonmouths, he's been cast from home. He's found a new one on the banks of the bottomless lake. Nina and Ollie have no idea the other exists, but a catastrophic event on Earth and a strange sickness that befalls Ollie's best friend will drive their worlds together in ways they haven't been in centuries. and there are some who will kill to keep them apart. Darcy Little Badger introduces herself to the world with a Latsaway. As a snake falls to earth, she draws on traditional Lipan Apache storytelling structures to weave another unforgettable tale of monsters, magic, and family. It is not to be missed. So yeah, I've gotten to the part where we have both narrations involved. We see both. The chapter, I think I'm on chapter 6 right now, which is 52 minutes long, and it is Ollie's perspective. And I don't love the narration that Ollie's narrator is giving these like side characters. Like, I understand that they're animals. I don't like it though. I don't like how it sounds, and I haven't read enough of Nina to really grasp how much I enjoy her or not, and so I kind of just want to be more with Nina than I am with Ollie, but it's been more Ollie focused since he was introduced, and so I think that's another part that's kind of just not jiving with me perfectly, but alas. I'm gonna keep reading it. I've got, I think, like 2.5 hours left of the audiobook, so I'll kind of just power through it and let you know thoughts as they come and or by the end. But this video is kind of being a bust, and it's making me feel bad. It's making me discouraged about 2021. Come on, I know there was good books in 2021. It sucks because these are like not only books that I was highly anticipating, but the last two, TJ Klune and Darcy Little Badgers, are two authors that I like deemed as favorites after the first book and just loved and adored so much. And now it feels like I can't say that, and it's like part of my like favorite authors is just dwindling this year, and it's making me feel bad. But I'm gonna continue listening to it. I think we're gonna go to the lake and hang out. So, he's home, so we're gonna go to the lake. I can finally say that I read another book on my shelf. Oofa. It's like a 3-star. I don't really have a lot more to say than what I've already said. I still don't care for Ollie's perspective, and specifically the narration around him and the other animals. It wasn't working for me. I did like Nina's chapters. I liked her character development, her passion for fighting, what she thinks is right, and just like her beliefs. And I really liked that. This definitely has an audience, and it's not bad by any means. It just didn't work for me. I just didn't have enough attention or care for these characters, but it wasn't a bad story by any means. But yeah, I just don't have like a whole lot to say. It was a very mid book for me. I will still continue to pick up Darcy Little Badger because I love the writing so much. So I will be continuing. There's always good, like, not too, like, doesn't really matter to the plot, but main characters who are asexual in Darcy Little Badger's books, which I really enjoy and appreciate. So yeah, I liked it. I didn't love it. I wish that I loved it as much as A Latsaway. If you haven't read A Latsaway, read it. If you have, I don't think it'll hurt to pick this one up, but I don't think that it'll be at the same level. Hi there, Bubby. So, that's my review. I wish that it went better. This vlog is... Hello. I'm reading Small Favors. You can barely tell. There you go. I am chapter 9, 86 pages in, 86 pages in, chapter 9, and I'm loving it. I'm not gonna lie. It is village vibes. They're living in this, like, clearing in the woods. They don't leave. It's danger. And it's, like, very simple living life. Like, they just do their thing, you know? Big families, probably religious, but we're not really touching on that. You've got the elders, the whole shebang, and there is like the forest in which they can leave to go and get supplies, but the supply run, they're missing. That's not good. And then weird things keep happening, like elk, but they're different sized, and they have an extra leg. It's just, it's creepy. It's eerie. It's definitely eerie. I'm enjoying it a lot. Just the vibes. It's just, the atmosphere is really nice. And then there's like, you know, your normal small town drama that's happening, and then just weird stuff, weird visitors, weird animals, happenings, attacks, you know, the whole shebang of simple village life. I'm really enjoying it though. I will continue and keep you updated on my thoughts as I go, but I have high hopes. I love Aaron A. Craig so much. So I've made it to autumn, which is exciting, which is 155 pages in. I had to break out the tabs. That's how good it's going. I am rooting for this romance, even though the romance is questionable. There's a lot happening. It's getting very tense. Shit do be hitting the fan a little bit, if you will, because you've got these outsiders that are kind of lurking every once in a while coming in, and then there's like the village drama. There is a Romeo and Juliet type of situation happening in this, where our main character and her family are sort of rivals with their neighbors for long ago history, and a little romance is abroad among their kids. And because of that, it has caused a little bit of tension, a little bit of drama. And now, because of the people who died that were off to get supplies, we're going into winter and there is no supplies, because obviously the supply run couldn't have happened. So there's a bit of like a widespread panic, kind of similar to how during lockdown the stores were raided constantly for things because people were fearful of stuff running out and stores going empty. Well, the stores are going empty, so things are getting very tense very quickly, and the ending of the Indian summer is a little bit rough, a little bit oh no. So I'm interested to know where it could go from here. But yeah, it's very interesting. There was an incident that happened on their farm, and so that's kind of like the cause of all this tension. But now these kids, there's Ellery and Samuel, who are twins, their younger sister Mary, and the youngest sister Sadie, and then their parents Sarah and something. I want to say Clay, but Cyrus is they just call him Papa. Let me look. Luckily, there's a family tree. There's a rules and there's the family trees. Gideon. That's right. So that's our family that we're following. We're following Ellery in first POV, first person writing, and I love it. Her and her twin have tension. That's really interesting, but she's got younger sisters, so I just like that. So my tabbing system, before I leave and continue, so we've got yellow, which is like impossible to see because it's so light, but we have yellow, which is for any beekeeping things that I just find interesting and want to, keep tabs of. We have pink for romance or relationships that I'm like squealing over, mostly the romance that I'm hoping for. And then I have green, which is for conversations that Ellery has about like finding her place in the world. This is a very traditional story, so like God and the elders and the rules are their everything. That's what they live by, and so God obviously plays a big role in this type of setting, as well as like traditional values. And so Ellery, being 18, not being courted by anyone, is having like this problem of finding her place in the world and like finding what she's supposed to be doing and who she's supposed to be right now, because when she was in school Like, that was her main focus. And then she was a daughter, and now she is what? Like, she's not a wife, she can't be a mother yet, and so she's just kind of in this, like, weird limbo, and I think those are interesting, and I've been keeping track of those. So, that's the update. I'm gonna keep reading. It's nearly 2 in the morning. Sorry for noise. I just finished this. You cannot see my tabs. They're all pastel and cute and barely there, but I love. 4.5 stars, 5 on Goodreads. I love the atmosphere. I love these characters. The romance had me kicking, giggling, having a good old time, even though, like, nothing was surprising. I knew everything that was going to happen. It followed a beat. It made sense. I wasn't, like, surprised or blown away. But I enjoyed the journey of it. I enjoyed what was going on. I liked the outcome, the ending. Of course, you get your happily ever after. It was just a good time overall. So, Erin A. Craig stands up to be my favorite author. Well deserved, well loved. I'm so excited. In just a couple of days, the sequel to House of Salt and Sorrows comes out. And I'm so excited. Hi. So, I have another book to review. I finished this book at work and didn't talk to you at any point kind of book review. That just seems to be my brand, because I do work a full-time job and I primarily listen to audiobooks whilst I work. So, really fun. I love it. It makes me feel a little bad. I'm like, I need to be giving, like, starting point, current, like, thoughts as I'm reading, midpoint check-ins. Like, it makes me feel bad when I can't properly, like, read a book with you guys in a reading vlog, but at the same time, we are here to read books and talk about books, and sometimes we just kind of have to accept that life happens, and that's okay. That's okay, Sam. It's okay. Anyway, I read Little Thieves by, is this by Margaret Owens? Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. I'm so good. Okay, so this story is about a lady. Her name is Vanya. We're following a girl, and I think it's Vanja. The more I say it, the worse it gets. Anyway, we're following this girl who is the adopted goddaughter of Death and Fortune, the two gods. And honestly, that premise alone makes this book stand out on its own and feel very unique and also just so cool. Something I love in books is different god religious systems of any type. I just think that they are fascinating, and there's so much creativity done with them, like so much you can do with them. So we have a main character who is the goddaughter of Death and Fortune, and they gave her a choice. They were like, hey, it's about that time you make a decision. Who do you want to pledge your life to? Who do you want to serve for the rest of your days? And she's like, no, I don't want to do that with either of you. I'm so sorry. Appreciate you guys, but no, not for me. And disappears and decides to steal the life of a princess and switch places with her and disguise herself as the princess and live this double life of stealing from the nobles as themselves as to pay off the debt that they're not serving their godparents, as well as living the life of a princess and having to learn so much. I find that premise to be so interesting. We're following a thief main character, which is a buzzword for me. We are following a world where there's active gods actively doing things to the world and being participants. I love that stuff. And our main character slips up, accidentally steals something she shouldn't have, maybe caused a minor deity of the area to curse her, and every time she steals, she, like, parts of her body turns into, like, rubies and pearls, and she starts turning to stone. And the more she steals and the more greedy she is, the more she's going to turn into literal stones. And she has to pay back her debt and, like, right her wrongs, basically, or else she's just gonna, like, be a stack of stones. I don't know what the outcome of, like, the ending was supposed to be with a curse like that. But yeah, eventually, like, her belly button becomes a pearl. Like, it gets a little weird, a little funky. And so I love the premise. I guess this is a retelling of the Goose Girl fairy tale. I'm not familiar with the source material, so I don't know how it ties. But I love the cover. I really like the premise. I didn't love the story. I don't know if it's because I listened to the audiobook and it was just, like, the narrator that didn't do it for me, or I don't know. Maybe it's just maybe too young adult. Maybe I didn't love the characters. I never connected to anybody. I never really cared about what was happening in the story. Nothing surprised me. I wasn't super entertained. Like, it wasn't, like, a lot of fun. And the way I'm talking about it sounds like I did not like it. And I did enjoy it. And it was interesting. And again, so creative and unique. And I loved so many things that the story was made up of. But just the way that it was done felt a little flat for me. I rated it like a 3.54 stars. It's still, like, a high rating. It's still good. I would recommend this to people. I really want to continue. It's going to be a trilogy. The third book I don't think is coming out for another year or two. But I wanted to like it more. I think my expectation was just a little bit too high because I've heard such great reviews from people that I really trust. And so I was just, like, a little bit disappointed by what I got. I just did not have a connection to anybody. I didn't care. I chuckled at a couple things and it was, like, a fun, thrilling adventure story, but at the same time, I didn't feel like enough was happening to really grasp my attention or make me really care. And I think part of it might be me. I'm not slumping per se, but I'm also not loving a lot of the things. Like, I've had the most 2 stars this last month than I have had in 3 years, which isn't, like, not great, not good, but I've been reading a lot more out of my comfort zone. And I think the issue is I've just been reading so much fantasy that I might be getting a little bit more picky. I really want to be going back to certain worlds right now, and so it's hard starting a new series when I want to be finishing series, but I have videos to do and, like, projects to work on, and so, like, it's not always gonna happen that way. But I'm also waiting on friends so that I can finish other series. It's fine. But yeah, I thought it was fun and I enjoyed it, and the premise is incredible. I'm excited to see how it gets better. Like, I'm hoping that the series will improve over the next 2 books and, like, enjoy it more. I find that often, like, books that start as a retelling for the first book, often the second and third and whatever many books change vastly from that retelling story and kind of gets more footing and just feels more good. That doesn't make any sense. It's fine. My allergies are really bad today. I'm slightly dying. Can you tell? So I'm gonna skedaddle, but that's my review on Little Thieves that I listened to at work. When will I think it's Painted Devils is the sequel. When will I read that? I don't know. Probably not this year, if we're being totally honest. But I love the covers a lot, and this is an author that I'm excited to read more from. So I might at some point pick it up physically and give it a shot again before reading the sequel. I probably won't touch it until the 3rd book is out, though, so that I can just kind of wrap it all up at once. But yeah, a little bit disappointing. A little sad. But I liked it. It was fine. It was mid. It was good. But I didn't love it. I wanted to love it so bad. I've read. I've done it. I've done some reading. We love to see it. I've also taken a shower, as you can tell. So I am on page 147. I would say it's about a third of the way through. This is the Grimrose Girls by Laura Pohl. 1 second. I'm getting a call. And we're back. Okay, so the Grimrose Girls. I went into this, I'll say, I've read some of it, so, like, I kind of know, but I kind of went into this just like, here for a good time, not expecting too much, just kind of like here for this dark academia book. Now, I went into this thinking it was just like soft gothic dark academia, like it's gonna be set in a boarding school and there's a death, and so like your classic trope, you know? And so with said trope, I did not expect this to be a retelling. Oh boy, was I surprised when we get started and things start looking a little weird. Things are lighting up a little bit. Things are like, that's a little suspicious. Yeah, this is a full, like, fairy tale retelling. Like, taking your classic Disney princesses and throwing them in to a boarding school where there's a death. So we've got best friends Ella, Yuki, who still pisses me off. Apparently, that's supposed to be Snow White. Don't like it. Rory, Aurora, and their dead friend, Ariane, who died. Ariel drowned herself. Crazy. So basically, you've got these now 3 girls, a trio, because their friend died, and they come back to the school and they're like, she didn't kill herself. We don't believe it. And we've got one friend who is like, no, she definitely did that. And the other 2 are firm believers that it was not an accident. And so that is happening in the story. That's kind of like the mystery. And then we get the 4th perspective, which is a new student, Nani. And she is the newest roommate of Yuki and Rory. So she's like kind of moving in, not getting along with anybody, not making friends, doesn't really want to be there at all. She finds a book, a beautiful leather-bound foiled book of fairy tales. And that's when I was really like, oh, I understand everything that's happening right now. So 37%, I know, like, the big clues have been like dropped, and like now the girls in the book know what I know. And so I'm hoping to get more surprises and twists as we continue. I'm not sure if this is a duology or if it's going to be a trilogy. I'm assuming it's a duology. Hello. And so it has been a time. I will say that I do know that this is very sapphic. We've got, I believe, just 2 queer characters and 2 straight characters. And I'm not sure about Nani yet. Excuse me. They're here for me, not you. Yeah, that's right. You better run. I don't know what everyone's sexuality is exactly. I know that our dead friend, Ariel, she was straight. And I believe Ella is straight. And then I believe Rory and potentially Yuki are at least hoping for a sapphic relationship. And I don't know about Nani. Also, and I cannot speak to the representation being good or not, but I believe Nani is half black, half Hawaiian. Rory has fibrosia? It'll be on the screen. I'm unintelligent. And Ella has OCD. So there's like a lot of representation going on, not just because there's sapphic pining, but because there's also disability reps and people of color. So is it done well? I can't speak on that. I am not of these things. I don't know if this had sensitivity readers or what the case might be. I'm sure it probably did, just because this had a lot of hype around it. But I will probably, when I finish it, read some reviews and see if people say like the representation is horrible or not. But so far, a third of the way through, I think the representation is nice. I wouldn't say like it's not so much of their character that it's like in your face and being talked about. We have a person of color and she speaks Hawaiian with her grandma after being like dropped at this school, but it's not overwhelming, and the audiobook does a pretty good job with it. This is set in Switzerland and has like ties to German and French sometimes because, you know, fairy tales. makes sense. This is kind of going back to like the Grimm fairy tales, hence Grimm Rose Girls. You get it. I don't know why I didn't put that together when I picked this up. I think I probably knew that when it came out and then just like forgot that existed. But anyway, but yeah, we've got like a person of color, but there's not racism, or at least not yet. There hasn't been any homophobic rhetoric. So it's kind of just like, these are the characters. Moving on with the mystery, and it's not so in your face. It's just representation, and so far I'm liking it. So yeah, I'm gonna continue on with this. This was a very long introduction for the book. It's very quick and easy to read. I obviously, like, it's interesting. I've had to pay attention. I actually had to lower the audiobook speed to 2.75 because the narrator was talking faster and I was trying to like retain everything. So I lowered the speed a bit, and that's been helping so much more because it's something I do need to pay attention to, but it's also an incredibly fast, quick read. Maybe because it's just why adult, young adult, so it's a little bit easier. And the writing style is nice. It's just very simplistic. It's not too flowery. It's not anything special. I like it. It's good. But yeah, so yeah, that's my update. I will either update you guys another third, or I'll update you when it's finished. I'm not sure yet. We'll see if I have thoughts or not. But yeah, I'm intrigued. I like Ella. She seems to be like the main focus. Like Ella, technically you get all 4 perspectives, so they're all main girls, but I'm connecting most to Rory and Ella. So I'm excited to continue and see what this story has in store. Ha ha ha. Okay, I'm gonna go. Hello. So, I am 50% into the Grimm Rose Girls, and there has now been a trans character. So there's trans rep, and then there was other representation, and I've now forgotten because what's remembering things. But the girl that is trans rep has been predominantly in Nani's chapters and like helping and assisting, so I've been seeing more of her, which is great. I am not trans. I cannot speak to if it's good representation, but it's nothing like dramatic. Again, it's kind of just like, I exist, this is facts about me, I throw it into a conversation so you know. Her name is Svenja, and Svenja is, I'm guessing, Russian, or no, she says she's from Budapest. She's from Budapest. And so yeah, just a lot of representation because this is like a Switzerland boarding school, so you get outside of the American perspective, which I think is cool. But yeah, but she like has her own room, and she's like, yeah, but at least I don't have to share a bathroom. And I'm like, yo, you're truly winning. Not sharing a bathroom at a boarding school. Nice. But yeah, it's just been fun. They're still solving the mystery. We've learned Yuki's secret a little bit, but yeah, nothing crazy has happened yet. We're just continuing on. I've got an hour and a half left of the book, and then I'll check in with you guys when it's done and like any final thoughts. I do know that this is at least a duology, which means it's not gonna answer all of my questions. I don't think it's gonna wrap everything up because obviously it's gonna have a cliffhanger for the next book, which I think is fine. I'm expecting that, so I'm like, cool, it's fine, it's okay. But I'm also hoping for an unhinged women's seance. That's something I love in books, and it's been mentioned that they could do a little something, and I would like that to happen. So that's kind of my goal. We'll see if that happens. But I'm going to continue on, and I'll check in with you guys most likely tomorrow because it's late and I want to finish this, but I will also probably pass out. And if that happens, I'll finish it tomorrow, and I'll check in with you either way, so it doesn't matter. It's great. We done did it, ladies and gentlemen. I read it. I finally finished it. It took me a little bit longer than it should have because I just didn't care to pick it up. It's not that I didn't want to read it or that I wasn't enjoying it. The urge to pick it back up and like get back into the story was not really there. But I did end up giving it a 4-star. I did enjoy the adventure, the journey. I wouldn't say that, like, the twist is super shocking and you're like, it makes sense for what it was. There was some parts to it that I wasn't expecting fully about the big bad. It's not even the big bad, because the second book I think is going to deal with the big bad. This is like the small bad. But I did enjoy the ending and where it went. I'm a sucker for like ball scenes. I appreciate the like romances that were in here, like kind of getting their finality for the book, like getting that first kiss moment. And the ball gowns, I did get my sort of seance-y ritual thing. So it checks off a lot of the boxes of things that I say that I really enjoy in books. So the things that I didn't like, the reason it couldn't be 5 stars, even though it had so many things I appreciate, is the characters. They're very much like their traits. I don't know how to explain this. I'm sure it'll make sense, but basically, you know, when like you're blueprinting a character, you might not know. If you played The Sims, you might understand. You know, like in The Sims, when you're like, this character likes blue. Their room is blue, their house is blue, everything that they're wearing is blue. It's kind of like that. Like, they just embody the very few characteristics you give them. And so we have 4 girls that do sound very different and are very different, but like Aurora, has a disability, a chronic illness, and then you have that she is pining for a girl, and she is not like the other girlies. She is your tomboy, she's your fencer, she's a princess hiding from the world. It's bizarre. There's a lot going on with the characters. There's like so much depth to them, and yet when they like come across to you on the page, it's like, oh yes, Rory is the one with fibromyalgia. Yeah, anyway, moving on. We could be here for hours. So that's like her trait, as well as queer. And like, that's what you get. Like, they take on a specific character for the friend group, and then their specific character with like their side character, and then whatever it is about them. And I like the disability rep. Again, I cannot speak to if it is good, but I do appreciate that it's not like everything about the character, although I'm saying that it is. I don't know how to explain books. It comes up when it needs to come up. So when Rory is feeling less than, Rory is often combating this pain and finding strength in just like having to help her friends where she can, kind of thing. And so it's not like just constantly being thrown in. It does fit to what the character would be thinking or is doing, especially doing, because they are in a sport, and so obviously it's going to be a hindrance to their performance at times. So it fits in when it's talked about, but it's also like their 3 traits. I hope that makes some sense. Ella is Cinderella, and she has OCD. She's not straight, but it's undecided, because apparently none of them are hetero, except for the girl that's dead. So we're going to say queer. She's queer, but she is dating is a strong word. She is interested in this Frederick guy. The names are something. But yeah, OCD's supposed to be Yuki's best friend and is Cinderella. Like, has the evil stepsisters and evil stepmom and like trauma surrounding her dead parents. And that's kind of like her character arc. But I like the way that the OCD is shown. It's not like, it's because of OCD and anxiety. It's just like, oh, numbers, I need to pay attention to numbers. Every once in a while, and you're like, oh yeah, that checks out. Again, not a sensitivity reader. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm just a gal on the internet. But I liked it for what it was. I haven't read a lot of books with OCD characters, so I don't know how to compare, what to expect. I don't have OCD. Cool? Anywho, that's my gist. My other issue with the characters is the connections, the chemistry just wasn't there for me. It didn't make me feel anything. Like, you're telling me that they're a group of friends, but I don't really believe you, and I'm not feeling it. Like, supposedly, Rory and the dead one, Ariane. Rory and Ariane were supposedly like two peas in a pod, best friends, and then Elle and Yuki are supposedly the best friends. And Elle and Yuki never once came off on the page like, yes, these are to die for best friends. So that part was kind of lackluster, and that's why I got a 4-star. It was a very long-winded way of me saying I don't know how to talk about characters. But I enjoyed the plot. I enjoyed the vibe. There was a couple like spooky scenes that I was like, oh, okay. If you know me, I love with my whole heart fantasy horror, especially in the YA genre. It's my favorite, and so whenever I see like a glimpse of what could be a YA horror, I'm like, write one, give me one, I would like it. As for like the dark academia vibes, technically, yeah, it is like a dark academia. You're set at a boarding school with secret passageways and cool libraries, and people are dying. Yes, but they're never once like in a school. Like, they don't have to go to classes or worry about that. I think you're in Elle's home ec class twice where she like cooks. I'm like, wow, riveting. So there's not a lot of like education. Like, this could be summer camp for all I care. So that also kind of lowers it because it's not quite meeting the dark academia expectations, you know? But yeah, I enjoyed it. I'd definitely be reading the sequel. I believe it's just a duology from what I could see. I didn't dig super deep, but that's what I know. It's blue, it's pretty. So I will definitely be reading the sequel, but I'm not like jumping over hurdles to get to it soon. But that's it. We did it. We did the video. Heck yeah. I know that this is like outdated, but now my Goodreads 2021 anticipated releases only has 2 books that I haven't read. One from Ray Carson, author of the Girls of Fire and Thorns series, and the other one, or the Mary Shelley Club. So I feel pretty good about that. I've read the 2021 books that I was like very interested in, and that's nice. Reading backlist books are so good and so fun. I forget how good like older books can still be. Often I just like focus on the 2023, so it's kind of nice to go back and read the things that I was really excited for, because Small Favors, what a freaking win. Everything else was kind of like a mid okay book. So maybe that theory of like backlist books are good is wrong based off this video. Like, if you only watch this video, that is incorrect. But for the most part, you can still find a lot of gems in backlist. But Small Favors, ooh, what a win. What a good time. What a good time. So that's the video. That's the reading vlog. I hope that you enjoyed this, and maybe you have read these or want to read these. Let me know. I hope I didn't discourage anyone from wanting to pick these up, because I think as a whole, these are 5 very loved and good books. So they just didn't all work for me quite as much as I was hoping they would. But I hope that you enjoyed this video, at the very least, even if you don't like the books. And I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye!